All my friends were jealous of me because my family's pretty rich. Dad, mom, my brother, my sisters, and I were living in this big house, and we had pretty much everything we wanted. But no one knew that my dad was a complete jerk. He treated us, women, like we were some kind of maids. He always wanted my sister and I to treat him and my brother like masters. He used to call us the worst names. We were supposed to clean the house and do all the chores while they sat and watched TV. I thought my dad was misogynistic, hating women, all women, but that doesn't explain why he got married. I mean, he cheated on my mom with other women all the time. He'd bring them home. He didn't care if my mom even saw it. My brother was even worse. He'd throw food on the ground on purpose and then order me to clean it. One time he filmed me when I was cleaning and posted the video on Facebook with the caption, "She cleans your house for $7 an hour. Contact me to book her." He sent me to his nasty friends to clean their rooms, and they'd harass me while doing it. And when I told Dad about him, Dad patted him on the back and told him that this was the proper way to treat women. Everyone laughed at me the next day. They were calling me a servant, a peasant, sometimes a dirty Cinderella. Basically, my brother made my school life hell. When I turned 18, I decided to move out because I couldn't take it anymore. I asked my mom to move out with me and take my sisters with her. I told her that she deserved someone better than Dad, but she refused. She said that she'd gotten used to the situation, that she doesn't know how to get a job, and so I left her there, and I went to live on my own. I found a place to live in. I also found a job as a secretary at a company, but the pay wasn't much, so I decided to go after the manager, Ron. If I convinced him to marry me, then I wouldn't have to worry about my life. But there was one problem. Ron had a girlfriend, which meant that I needed to be the side chick. I made it my plan to seduce him. I came to work wearing the most inappropriate clothes. I went to his office when he was alone, telling all kinds of stupid excuses, and it worked. He thought that I loved him. We started dating behind his girlfriend's back, until she walked on one time, and we were kissing in his office. And as he was taking off my bra while kissing my neck, his girlfriend opened the door holding the food that she made for him. She looked shattered. She broke up with him and we got married 3 months later. At first, it was all good. Ron and I got our own home, and I had all the money I needed to do whatever I wanted. I thought that I finally got the life I deserved. But then he started to change. Ron used to come back late at night. Sometimes he was gone for days, and when I asked him about it, he told me that he was at work. And then his ex-girlfriend showed him the picture that my brother had once posted on Facebook, and he pretty much turned into my dad, treating me badly and cheating on me because I wasn't good enough for him. He also did a little bit of research about my family, and when he saw the pictures of my sisters, he went nuts. He told me that I was the ugliest between them, and that he's only sorry that he met me before he even knew that they existed. So I just had to file for divorce, and it wasn't easy. When I told him that I wanted a divorce, he started laughing in my face. He said, "You think that you can leave me easily? Not so fast, baby. People already know that you're my wife. They won't leave us alone." I looked strangely at him. "What do you mean people already know that we're married?" Then he said, "My people, the people I work with, will come after you in jail." What the hell? Then I found out that Ron was involved with gambling and that he's in debt to a dangerous man called Santiago. If Ron doesn't pay Santiago $3 million by the end of the month, we're going to be in big trouble. But what happened next was unbelievable. Ron invited Santiago to our house. He was hoping to convince Santiago to give him more time. But when Santiago and I met, we had kind of a spark. Something magical happened, and we kept looking at each other the whole night and kind of talking. And he was hot, gorgeous, with a hot body and a deep voice. I couldn't get my eyes off of him. So when he said to Ron, "If you give me your wife, I'll extend the deadline for another 4 months," I was overjoyed. I wished Ron would accept. And he didn't disappoint me. He said immediately, "Deal." Santiago and I looked at each other with passion, and I went home with him after Ron and I signed our divorce papers. Our first night was unforgettable. We walked into his house, and it was huge. I was observing everything around, and suddenly I felt someone coming at me from behind. It was Santiago. He started touching me everywhere, and I felt his deep breath against my neck. He took off his shirt and took my hand and made me touch his chest down to his abs. And then he asked me if I gave him the permission to take off mine. I nodded, and he started taking my clothes off aggressively, telling me to relax. I couldn't resist his temptation, and the rest was our private memory. I woke up the next day in his king-sized bed as Santiago was softly touching my shoulder with his fingers. "Good morning," he said. I replied, "Good morning, gorgeous." He said, "So I have one rule. My woman always stays in the house." I thought he was joking, so I said, "Am I a hostage now?" He answered, "No, think of it more like a nice vacation." But I was a hostage indeed. I wasn't allowed to leave the house alone. I always had his guards escorting me. He gave me 2 credit cards to buy whatever I wanted online, so I don't get out so much. He was worse than Ron. Santiago suffocated me. He was jealous all the time and always suspected that I was cheating on him with the bodyguards. We always had major fights about that. And then I got pregnant. When Santiago knew about it, he was thrilled, like he won the lottery or something, but I was terrified. Will my baby live in such a horrible lifestyle like this? I know I haven't been exactly an angel, but I don't want him to grow up and become a criminal like his dad, or know that his mom got herself in this position because she was a gold digger. I started to think of running away more seriously. I needed to escape this toxic environment. But one night, Santiago told me that I was invited to a party. So him and I went, and it was a huge party in a club. I saw Ron there. He was with my sister, Rhonda. My mouth dropped. What's going on here? How did these two even meet? I approached her when Ron wasn't around. She was surprised to see me. She's like, "Oh my God, Kate, we thought we'd never see you after you left the house." And I responded, "Yeah, I had to move out. But what are you doing with my ex-husband?" She gasped, "Your ex-husband? How is that? And what's up? Are you pregnant?" So I told her my story, the whole story, and I asked for her help. I thought she might get me to get some money to run away from Santiago's house. And I thought she would sympathize and realize what a jerk Ron was, but none of that happened. She looked into my eyes and said, "You're just jealous. Why would I leave Ron if you're just no longer together?" "He's a dangerous man. He could get you in trouble, Rhonda." No, you're lying," she shouted. "He's nice and he spoils me. I don't want to go back to live with my dad either." I felt desperate. Rhonda is not an option. So I went back to talk to Santiago, but when he saw me, he said angrily, "So you're thinking of running away with my baby?" I was speechless. How did he know? Oh my God, was he spying on me? Santiago and I left the party. He couldn't beat me up because I was 7 months pregnant at that time, but he slapped me in the face until my nose started to bleed. I couldn't scream. I didn't want to scream. Life was just horrible. I spent 2 more months in the house being watched 24/7. I couldn't do anything even if I wanted to because I felt heavy. I gained 60 pounds over my pregnancy, which was a lot, but food became my only way to calm myself. I was depressed most of the time. When I gave birth, I started taking care of my son. I loved every minute of it because I felt that he was the only one who needed me. But Santiago never left me alone. He started commenting on my body and how it changed after giving birth. One time I was taking care of Peter when he said, "You're lucky to be the mother of my child. Otherwise I would have gone with other attractive younger women." I kept silent for a moment, but then I said, "I don't care. Just go with other women or leave me alone." He was furious because I was so indifferent towards the whole thing, so he said, "If you want to leave, then leave. But Peter stays here." I was shocked. I screamed, "You don't know how to take care of a baby. Let us leave, and I promise you can see him anytime you want." He laughed hysterically. "What? Come see him. He's my son. If you want to leave, then leave. But he will live in my house, and don't you even dare come here again." I stood there thinking for a moment, looking at Peter. I could never leave him for such a cruel father like that. But then I looked at Santiago. He was disgusting to make me choose between my freedom and my son. But when I thought of living my years to come with this disgusting man, I felt like puking. So I said coldly, "Here, you can take him." Santiago looked at me shockingly. He never thought that I could give up our baby away. I struggled not to cry before him. I didn't want him to enjoy my pain, so I said, "The thought of living with you some more time makes me sick. I want my freedom." Then I put Peter on the bed and started packing my things. My heart was aching, but I just needed to leave. And then I heard him scream, "Leave everything here!" He continued, I bought you everything, so leave it all here and go." What a jerk! I turned around and faced him and said, "Fine, as you wish." And then he threatened me. "If you ever come near the house or Peter again, I'll make your life a living hell." And then I left the house wearing my PJs, looking horrible, my hair tied up. I was practically homeless. What have I done? I slept that night on a bench near the beach, but it was freezing. So cold that I thought of going back to Santiago asking for forgiveness, but I didn't. The next day I started looking for a job, and I was lucky to find one as a cleaner, like a maid at a private school. They offered me a place to sleep, and I could eat from the cafeteria there. I started saving my salary so I could move out of the boarding school. I also worked at a coffee shop at night. It was 24/7. That way I could raise more money. But 3 years later, I was shocked to see Santiago dropping Peter to the kindergarten near the boarding school that I worked at. My son was 6 feet away and I couldn't go say hi. Every day I wait for them at the same time to see him. Sometimes I even enter the kindergarten and watch him from a distance. I don't know if I'll ever have the courage to tell him I'm his mom.